Estás con Pedro Biaggi Encendío y te invito a que me sigas en mis redes sociales a través de Pedro Biaggi Show. Eso es en Instagram, en Twitter o en Facebook. Mi invitado en esta ocasión es el distinguido caballero llamado Mickey Ibarra. Él es el presidente de la Red de Líderes Latinos. En inglés, porque es un hombre latino que habla mejor en inglés que en español. ¿Correct?
Correct.
Where were you born, Mickey?
Salt Lake City, Utah.
You see, I knew it. This was going to be complicated from the get-go. So, okay, but you are a Latino man like me, you know, and I hate it when people judge because I don't speak Spanish well. You know what? I speak English well. So, thank you. Tell me, what is your story? Where you come from? You're from Salt Lake City, but why are you such an important, amazingly respected Latino leader in our community?
My father, Francisco Nicolás Santiago Ibarra, immigrated from Oaxaca, Mexico.
¡Epa!
Yes, a Zapotec Indio
Bello.
who came to this country in 1945 as a bracero to pick fruit in Spanish Fork, Utah.
Oh, man.
He moved from the fields, found a new job, a better job, a union job at Kennecott Copper Mine just outside of Salt Lake City. Francisco Ibarra became a member of the demolition crew at Kennecott for 15 years. Drafted by the United States Army during the Korean conflict. Returned from the Army to the Kennecott Copper Mine with a valuable new benefit, the GI Bill for education.
And that's what you got caught on.
And he cashed that benefit in for night school.
Yes.
Night school, the Hollywood Beauty College in downtown Salt Lake City. Francisco Ibarra became a hairstylist.
I love it.
From the farms to the mine.
You know, that's not easily taken.
Salon.
That's not easily taken when you become a beauty hairstylist. You're a guy, you know, because all that comes with it.
Yes. And he did very well. He left Salt Lake City, moved to Sacramento, California, and opened his dream. His own business, the Mona Lisa House of Beauty.
Wow.
And for nearly 30 years, he had it going on at the beauty salon.
Wow, what a story. It's all about beauty and sacrifice and sorrows and pain.
Right.
Because that means your father, Dolores Huertas, and Cesar Chavez had to know each other.
Well, they certainly all have that common ingredient of toil in the fields to feed America. And we're able to, in my father's case, was able to get an education, able to acquire a profession, and live the American dream in so many ways, including having his firstborn, Mickey Ibarra, and the success, the achievements, the opportunities, really, that have been provided me.
Wow, it's quite impressive to see the stories that we have, the stories that we come with, where we come from, who we really are, you know, because today you are an outstanding member of our society, and you do represent the Latino community with the highest standards when it comes to the professionalism, and obviously, your father, education was the biggest secret he could share with you, because thanks to that education is that you are the man that you are today.
Without a doubt. Education is the great equalizer in so many ways. It does provide us the opportunity to compete for success. And when we're given the opportunity, I'm very confident about our success.
And it really doesn't matter anymore where you come from. It's really where you want to go.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
A lot of people blame their parents for this and that, you know, and I always say, wow, but you have the opportunity now to remake your life or take advantage of that you're present, healthy, and alive. You know, my mother and my father were and are still my biggest source of inspiration when it comes to the way I should be and I am when nobody sees me. You see, because this thing about being somebody or wanting to be somebody, it really takes a lot more work than that. It is about who you really are when nobody sees you and when nobody hears you. You know, that's what makes the person. And when I was told, when I was mentioned the name Mickey Ibarra, I was like, and they said to me, oh, but you know, he doesn't speak Spanish. I said, of course he doesn't speak Spanish. Of course he speaks Spanish. He's a Latino man. I'm proud to be. But because of his education, because of his background, we're going to do it in English because I want to take advantage of you. I want to take advantage of this moment and not be trying to understand or trying to make that an issue. It isn't an issue.
Wow. Well, thankful. That has been a source of pain and discomfort for some time in my life, because the reality is I want to speak Spanish and will speak Spanish at a point in my life. There's no reason not to. And yet, that also speaks to the story that I have, and that includes my father and mother were divorced in Salt Lake City. He married a white Anglo-Mormon, much younger than himself.
No easy.
In the early 50s in Salt Lake City, a dark Indio Mexicano.
No, that was jungle fever.
With a white, blonde, much younger girl.
Oh, my
that
God.
was not seen as socially acceptable. So the predictable happened, Pedro. By the time I was 2 years old, my younger brother, 11 months younger is all, we were placed in foster care.
No.
As a result of my parents' divorce. For the first 15 years of my life, my brother and I were raised in foster care in Utah. Fortunately, we had the opportunity to reunite with my father, Francisco Ibarra, when I was 15. We left Utah and moved to Sacramento, where he lived. And he was a single man. Probably the last thing he needed was a 15 and 14-year-old.
Yeah, that was the last thing he needed.
As a hairstylist.
Where was Mom? What happened to Mom?
Well, my mother remarried, moved to California, had a whole different life, had 3 additional children. Eventually, she came back into our life, I think largely out of guilt. She tracked us down in foster care in Utah. My brother and I have not a single memory of ever spending the night or living with her as a mother and child. And yet we did develop a relationship later on in life, and she remains, ironically, she moved back to Salt Lake City, is now quite elderly and suffering from Alzheimer's and all of that. She's now in an assisted living location, something that David and I have helped with. My father just passed away in June.
I'm so
of,
with you
2018.
I'm really sorry about that.
Yes, and yes,
Because that's a moment and that's a place and a person you could never replace with any kind of.
No.
It's a whole.
He had a
heart
big
forever.
influence, and we are so grateful that while it wasn't convenient for him to invite us to move where we belong with one of our parents, he did the right thing. And by doing the right thing, he was able to help us understand the importance of education, helping us to understand the need to work hard, and also really gave us a sense of love of country. I've never met a man in my life that is more proud of being Zapotec, Indio, more proud of being Mexicano, and more proud of being an American.
I am so proud to have met you. I'm so honored to be in front of you. I'm so honored to know who really is Mickey Ibarra, where he come from. It's no longer the image, because if we go by appearance, you are, this distinguished gentleman that's successful and admired and respected. Who would have thought that you would have a past in your life that comes with sorrow, pain, and a lot of sacrifice? Because I cannot imagine what it would be to be without a mom for those years. I lived without a dad. I met my dad when I was 7, and meeting him was like, really confusing, because the moment I met him, the cops arrived and he got arrested. Of course, child support. Hello. He had disappeared for so long that the moment he showed up, so that creates a really hostile, confusing, no matter what, your innocence was, challenged, as a child.
You had to grow up early. You really had to grow up early. And again, I'm delighted that we had that opportunity with my dad, who now has passed away. But one of my dad's last wishes, my brother and I and my father had the privilege of traveling back to Oaxaca in 2017, where he took us to the general cemetery where his mother's remains are at, and looked at us both and said, "Pedro, this is where I want to be." And so on his passing, my brother and I were able to escort him to Mexico for him to finally be reunited with his mother at the Oaxaca cemetery. That's where he lies today.
What a story from beginning to the end.
Full circle.
Full circle completely. And today, Mickey, you being the presidente de la Red de Líderes Latinos, tu liderazgo es auténtico y real. And it's important that we communicate to our audience and to the people that are with us in this moment, what is the Latino Leaders? I know what a Latino leader is because you are one and respected one. What is the Latino Leaders Network and its mission?
16 years ago, I brought together the Latino Leaders Network with a simple mission that's difficult to achieve: bringing leaders together.
Yes.
The experience that I had at the White House working with President Clinton and the platform that provided me to...
What was your job there at the White House?
I was assistant to the president.
Jesus.
And director of the Office of Intergovernmental Affairs.
My God, your father had to be really proud.
There's a whole other story I'd love to tell you about my father's first and only visit of me at the White House. But my responsibility, Pedro, was to serve as President Clinton's liaison with all local and state elected officials, including the U.S. territories and the sovereign Indian nations. So ironically, it became my responsibility to assist Native American peoples and also the people of Puerto Rico and other residents of our U.S.
All the
territories.
beautiful brown people of the world, right?
It was a terrific ride for nearly 4 years.
But tell me that story about your dad at the White House, please.
Francisco Ibarra came to the White House for his first and only visit in 2000. It was the holiday season, December. A wonderful time to be at the White House. The beautiful decorations, the scent of fire and other cooking.
The pine trees and all that beauty.
All of that, just beautiful.
The ultimate.
President Clinton was kind enough to invite my father to a White House reception.
Wow.
Where we both attended. I remember my father walking through the appointment gate. I asked the Secret Service to contact me so that I could greet him and escort him into the West Wing, my office, and they did. And I remember him walking in, and he had two things. He was looking around, big eyes. Do you really work here?
Are you fooling me?
And the second thing he said to me, how do I look? Do I look okay?
Oh,
do I look okay? He had his two-piece suit on and a nice tie.
Wow.
Do I look okay? Do I look okay? Said, of course, that hairstylist.
That's right. He knew about looking right.
He had that right. So we had an opportunity to attend the White House holiday reception. We waited in line like other guests to have their picture taken with the president. When our turn came, I turned to President Clinton, my boss. Mr. President, allow me to introduce my father, Francisco Nicolas Santiago Ibarra.
Eso.
My dad looked up at the president.
Who's
President's
super
quite
tall, yes.
My father is super short. He looked up at the president. His jaw dropped. I have a photo of it. And he lost his voice.
Oh, my God.
Francisco Ibarra could not say a word.
I love it.
The president paused, looked down at him. When he realized that my dad couldn't speak, he put his arm around him, brought him close. Sir, your son is doing an outstanding job at the White House for me and the American people.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow, qué bella historia.
Dad still couldn't talk.
That's what you call speechless.
Speechless. We took our picture and off we went. He was with me in Washington for just a week. Every restaurant, every server, every doorman, every cab driver, anyone in the street that he could stop, the president called me sir.
Yes, with that respect.
Yes. Wow. So that was a very special moment at the White House, for all the important issues we were dealing with there on behalf of the President Clinton and the local officials I work with. When I look at my time at the White House, that's certainly that personal moment with my father, knowing what that meant to him, an immigrant, a farm worker, a bracero from Oaxaca in 1945. And there he is standing with me in 2000, his firstborn son, an assistant to the President of the United States.
Wepa, que caché, papá. And to be able for you as a son to give back to that man that did what he did for you.
Yes.
Because I know that you do appreciate the fact that he came back for you, that he had that vision. Although he was a single guy and he had, he could have been just like the many fathers that can care less, that those are my children and I moved on because life went on.
Yes.
No. Yes. Everything made sense, and that was your opportunity to give it all back to him.
Yes.
That's what I can say. I could die tomorrow. Now, when we talk about the tribute to the mayors, what are we talking about?
Well, the Latino Leaders Network, again, established to bring leaders together. And what we discovered, through my relaying of the stories that I've just shared with you, Pedro, is that our stories are powerful. And when we share them, it will bring us together.
Yes.
We, as a Latino community, is a very diverse community. We all don't come from the same
we lack of
countries.
leadership. We lack of leaders. We lack of those voices and faces that we can say, I want to be like him. I want to be like her. And you are one of them. You're exceptional.
What we find is when we share our stories with each other, it inspires us.
Yes.
It motivates us. And it gives us hope that we too can succeed. So what the Latino Leaders Network is about is convening 6 events every year to help our leaders have a platform to share their story, to inspire others. Certainly at the event, but we also have a very robust website, the LatinoLeadersNetwork.org, where guests can look at the speeches, they can hear the speeches, they can even read the speeches. We have transcripts of our stories. And then thirdly, we have published a book, Arte Publico Press, the largest publisher of Latino authors and Latino literature in the country at the University of Houston, has published Latino Leaders Speak, personal stories of struggle and triumph, which is a compilation, a first of a kind compilation, which I had the privilege of editing.
What does that mean, editing?
Editing means we take a speech and we cut it right to the essence of leadership around their story. And we also introduce that speech with some of their background so that folks can quickly take a look at a story of a leader that is inspiring. And we've put 33 of them together under a single cover for the very first time. And these are 33 stories told at the Latino Leaders Luncheon Series, which is the second of 2 signature events that we host every year.
We just had it recently, right?
We had a tribute to mayors. We do that twice a year. Why twice a year? We go to where the mayors are. The mayors come together in a conference twice a year, a winter conference convened by the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and they do it again in the summer meeting of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. So the Latino Leaders Network goes and convenes a tribute to mayors where we have the opportunity to feature a mayor from any background. Sometimes they're Latino mayors, sometimes they're African American mayors, sometimes they're Puerto Rican, sometimes they're from wherever. The idea is we provide a spotlight for the mayor to share their story and their commitment to the Latino community and including us at the decision-making table in their community.
Wow. There used to be far few in between of those Latino leaders that we could talk about. We talk about Dolores Huerta, we talk about Cesar Chavez, but I believe now that we had a lot more of those stories.
We'll never run out of leaders and stories to tell. Now, in addition to the tribute to mayors, which is twice a year, we also convene the Latino Leaders Luncheon Series 4 times a year. And there we honor a Latino leader who is willing to share their personal story of obstacles overcome. And again, what we do is we bring folks from that community together to hear our stories, to be inspired, to be motivated, and
when is your next one?
To get hope. April 2nd, the 61st Latino Leaders Luncheon Series event will convene for the very first time in San Diego, where we will...
That's so far. How am I supposed to get there?
Oh, and it's a beautiful place.
I know.
And
gorgeous.
We will all come together. There will be 250 to 300 guests from the San Diego area, primarily Latino, who will gather to hear a keynote address delivered by Dr. Adela de la Torre, the president of San Diego State University,
wow,
where she will share her story of obstacles overcome.
Wow, I am so grateful for this moment. I'm so honored that you showed up in my life, giving me this inspiration, this force, because every day the Latinos, when we wake up in the morning, we are challenged in this country. We are looked at, we're singled out. A lot of us have identified and live with prejudice, and a lot of us have to overcome it almost every day.
Yes.
You got to put that strong hat to walk out the door. And when we have people like you telling us it can be done, education. There's nothing else to it. Yes. That's the key to freedom in life. And I believe that the only advice and the strongest advice that I have for the generation of today, because in my generation, we would quit school and go to work. We thought we were doing the right thing, and we were doing the wrong thing. There was a lot of limitations, but nowadays, the world of opportunities is here, and it's about us looking for it.
Yes.
The challenge is about how you get inspired, and you inspire me. I thank you, I bless you, and I want to ask you, where can people learn about Latino Leaders Speaks, the book, the curriculum, and upcoming events?
At our website, LatinoLeadersNetwork.org, there's a valuable resource that we need teachers.
Why is it so valuable?
At the website, we will have 33 keynote addresses that folks can view or they can read. The book contains them all, and it's also on our website where they can actually, every speech is videotaped and is placed on our website, both by the video version and the transcript. They can read it. In addition to that, they can find out how they can order their copy of Latino Leaders Speak. And I think, very importantly, we have just added a valuable new resource, and it's free. And that is a curriculum guide that takes 14 of our leader stories and puts lessons to those for teachers of high school and early college to share our stories with their students.
Wepa, I love it. So God has given us the opportunity to start all over again every day. Even right now, we could create a new moment in our life. We say, I'm going to start right now.
Well, the fact of the matter is, Pedro, you know this better than most. The Latino community, we have heroes. We have role models, and we have outstanding leaders. Their stories are powerful, and they need to be told to our students and everyone else.
So if I want to change my life, I should go read this book, because this book is life-changing.
I believe this book and the stories included in it will inspire others to succeed.
Well, you're a life-changing human being. Your story has inspired me and changed my chip. I have the desire today to be better, a better human being. I am looking forward to educate myself even more, because I understand that behind door number 1, behind door number 2, and behind door number 3, the only thing that we need to have to go through them is education.
Very important.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Mickey Ibarra, I love you.
Gracias.